We're going to turn our attention to some girls basketball right now. Welcome in head coach Scott Betson from Mainland Regional High School. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, all right, Sully. What's going on, bud?
What's happening, bud?
Not much, sir. It's just over here, you got a million parents buzzing around trying to get ready for our event today. So.
Yeah, I'm sure you're up early today, right? What goes into an event like this? I mean, you have, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 games today at Mainland Regional High School in the War versus the Shore, Volume 6 here. So tell us what goes into a day like this and getting all this together.
Oh, boy. I mean, the day of planning, all the credit goes to the parents, and they do basically all this week. They're just scrambling, trying to do all the little things for snack bar and admissions table and all those positions that need to be staffed out, and they do a great job with that. But the planning for the whole thing goes all the way back to we start asking teams if they're interested in like April of last year. And then you're trying to set up matchups, which is always tough because, you're trying to project who's going to be good and who's going to be rebuilding a little bit. And
right.
Then, sometimes teams trend one way or the other, but you're trying to set up matchups in like May. So it can be a little tough sometimes, but I feel pretty good about the lineup we have today. Should be a good slate.
How did this idea all come about? This is the 6th year of it. So take us back to the beginning. What was is there anybody that gets the credit for coming up with this idea?
Well, I mean, the idea of running an event goes all the way back to Carl Geisinger, who coached here for a long, long time when he was coaching the program's history. And he ran something called the Shootout at the Shore for years, and they got some really high-profile teams from all over the place, even out of state, to come down and play. And so then Coach Rapetti continued that after Coach Geisinger, and then I picked it up from there. And we did it the same format that they had done. It's my first year. And then a couple of years in, actually, he wasn't even my assistant then, but my now assistant, Billy Curran, approached me and said, why don't you do it like a conference matchup, kind of like the way, like the ACC Big Ten challenges and colleges.
Right.
And so then we just reached out. I had made some relationships with some Shore Conference coaches, and we thought, we asked them what they would think, and they said that they thought there'd be quite a number of teams to be interested. And so it's just kind of grown from there. Every year we got, we have some teams mixing in and out, but every year we have some more teams who are kind of interested, asking about, getting matchups. So it's been fun. It allows for some flexibility because the Shore, there's just so many teams in the Shore Conference, and there's 72 teams in the Shore Conference. So, and then we always have, a number of pretty strong Cal teams who are willing to play anybody this time of year.
And there's some really good basketball in the Shore Conference in Monmouth and Ocean counties. I don't know if people in Atlantic Cape May counties really understand how good some of those teams are. You don't really get to see them. Maybe you run into them in the state playoffs here and there, but you're talking about some of the best teams in the state in that conference when you're looking at teams like St. Rose and Manasquan, St. John Vianney. I mean, that conference is loaded in terms of girls basketball.
No question. It's easily the best conference in the state in terms of girls basketball, just because, like I said, it's not only the top teams, which are obviously just dynamite. I mean, you've got repeat TOC team in Manasquan, and all this, and Vianney is always the top 5 team in the state. But then you've also got so much depth in it too. So it's not just the power that they have at the top, but then it just goes. There's so many teams in the conference that are so strong, which is nice for our event because it allows us some flexibility in terms of if somebody can't make it one year, there's certainly plenty of options to choose from.
Talk with Coach Betson from Mainland Regional Girls Basketball. They're hosting the War versus the Shore Girls Basketball Showcase. Starts at 10 a.m. today. And, Coach, how much grief has Paul Baruffi of Ocean City given you for matching him up with Manchester this year?
None at all. He's the kind of guy. Their track record speaks for itself in terms of, if you look back at their history of the teams that they're playing this time of year, he doesn't shy away from anybody. He understands what it's about. He understands that the games that you're playing right now are just trying to get you ready for when the playoffs start a couple of weeks from now. So I think he's probably looking forward to it. They are loaded. They're really tough. They've got a number of guards who are really good. But the teams who are in contention to try to win South Jersey titles, you want to be playing teams like that this time of year.
What about you guys taking on Toms River North? That's always a really good team, and they're one of those top teams in the Shore Conference. So it's going to be definitely a challenge for you. And like you said, when you're trying to get prepared for the playoffs, these are the kind of games you want to play. Absolutely.
They're really tough. They're long. They shoot the ball really well. They defend. And it'll be a tough matchup for us, there's no question, which is the same thing. We try to set up games that are going to be a challenge for us. Last year we picked up Manchester pretty late in the year because an opportunity presented itself, and we were both playing pretty well, and The coach from Manchester is a great guy. Dave's awesome. He does a great job, and he's another guy. He doesn't care. He'll play anybody, especially this time of year. So everybody's just looking to do the same thing. Everyone's looking to just challenge their teams and get better.
And, Coach, you start out the day with a middle school game, Northfield versus Belhaven. What made you want to get a middle school game in there, and how cool is that for those girls? They get to kind of hang around after the game and see some of these really outstanding varsity athletes.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea of it. Again, I can't take credit for that one. That was an idea I inherited from coaches Geisinger and Rapetti, who were here before me. That's been a tradition here for a long time, that the event always kicks off with 2 of our sending districts getting involved. And it's just fun for those kids. They get to play on the big court, where they get to come to watch games, when we play. And then exactly like you said, we try to schedule them right before our games so that they can hang out. We invite the kids if they want to come in and see what our pregame looks like in the locker room and sit behind our bench, so they get a little experience about what's hopefully waiting for them when they get to Mainland over the next couple of years. The parents really appreciate it. It's a pretty cool community event. You get to see a lot of people that from the basketball circles, and it's become kind of a tradition. So yeah, it's a pretty fun way to kick it off.
How many of those girls are going to be asking for autographs from Kylie Watson?
I think you're joking, but that's a thing that's happened this year. Not so much with 8th grade girls, but we've gone to other places. We went to Oakcrest this year. There was a line of male varsity athletes from different sports hanging out at the gym, and I swear to God, a kid asked Kylie for her autograph. It was
really
hysterical. Yeah.
She's handled it so well. I mean, obviously, she's one of the biggest stars in South Jersey and getting recruited by every big college in the nation. She was a member of U16 Team USA squad, and so she's been kind of in this spotlight ever since really 8th grade. She scored 1,000 points in middle school. So it's been really neat to kind of see the progression in her career, and she's always been great at talking to the media and being available for little kids and that kind of thing. And what's it like coaching a player like that? Who it's one thing to have an outstanding player who's a national star, but to have the kind of demeanor that she has, it just makes it so much easier, right?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, there's plenty of kids that have come through the area that are phenomenal, whatever their sport is, and and that's just what Kylie is in basketball. But what makes her different, I think, than most kids is that she's got none of the downside that you anticipate coming with talent like that. I mean, she works harder than everybody. She's incredibly humble. She doesn't really like attention all that much. She kind of when she walks through the hallways and people say things, like she kind of blushes and gets shy about it. And she's like that as a teammate. And she's just she's a really all the cliches. She's just a special kid, man. Like I've been saying this ever since I met her. You're just always kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop on her. Like, what's the catch here? And there really doesn't seem to be one. She's a really unique, like, truly special kid.
I've seen it from parents of other schools' kids who, when they have to go up against her, they'll post on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and man, it was such a tough matchup for my kid, but Kylie is such a nice kid after the game, that kind of thing, and giving her kudos for how she interacts with the player she plays against, and obviously everyone in this conference in the Cape Atlantic League is kind of in awe of her, and you talk to other players and they say, man, she's so good on the court, but she's even a nicer person off the court.
That's really true. I mean, she's kind of universally loved here at school. Even the kids who aren't athletes know who she is, and she's just kind and welcoming to everybody, and she's got like a really unique personality set, and that she from talking to her, she's well spoken, she's articulate. So shy isn't really a great word for her, but at the same time, she's not looking for attention. Like it just kind of comes to her, and she handles it pretty gracefully. But she's certainly not someone who is trying to make a spectacle of herself.
Talk with Coach Betson from Mainland Regional Girls Basketball. And, Coach, one player I've been high on her entire career in both soccer and basketball is Taylor Dalzell. I don't think she gets nearly enough credit for what she's done for those two programs. Talk about her a little bit and what she's meant to your team. I know she's meant a great deal to the girls' soccer program there, and obviously leads them to championship seasons. And one of those kids that you're going to remember years from now as being a kid who – she doesn't say a whole lot. It's hard to get more than a minute out of her in a post-game interview. But, man, what a tough kid, and just comes to play every day and does all those little things that are hard to coach, going out and getting offensive rebounds, making the correct pass in the right time, and just been so fun to watch her career.
That's kind of exactly who she is as a player. She's just tough. She does so much for us in terms of little things. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day in terms of, she's one of those kids where basketball coaches will see the game a little bit differently than fans or even, people in the media sometimes in terms of, what she gives us. And what she gives us in so many ways is not measurable statistically, so people don't really understand it unless you coach the game. She's one of our best ball handlers. She's our best perimeter defender. She's one of our best offensive rebounders, like you mentioned. She's just a really good all-around athlete. That speaks to her career in soccer. She's going to be a 4-year varsity letter winner in both sports, which is it's pretty rare. It's pretty unique for a kid, especially in those two sports where there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of depth in soccer and girls soccer and girls basketball down here. And she does. She works really hard, and while she may go under the radar sometimes, the coaching staff here really understands and appreciates everything she gives us. And
you sort of have her replacement already playing right now in Cameron Dirks. Here's another girl who's going to be a 4-year letter winner in both sports. Just another really, really strong athlete. Cam, for a freshman, has got a pretty special combination of she's got some length and some strength to her, but she's also quick. She's got some explosiveness. She's a good athlete. She shoots it pretty well. She's a particularly strong ball handler for someone who's coming in as a freshman. And she's someone who kind of forced our hand as a coaching staff. We knew we were getting a good player with her coming in, but the idea was to kind of not put too much on her too early, because that's a lot to put on a freshman. And she kind of forced our hand where we had to, because she just kept making plays for us all preseason and then right into the regular season. So she's going to have an outstanding career here, I imagine. Coach, real quick before we let you go, can we set up a 3-point shooting contest between Claudia Maroney and Luke Varallo from Ocean City? Sure, let's make it happen, man. Luke hit school record 7 last night. I know Claudia's had a game where she had 9 this year. Claudia had different games. She had 8 in a game, which broke the school record, and then she had 9 in a separate game, which broke her own school record. So she can fill it up. That would be pretty fun. That sounds like a good idea. We should set that up. Coach, good stuff as always, and have a long day for you today. 10 games over there at Mainland, so I'll be checking out some of those games in early afternoon. So it's a great event, and congrats on getting this thing together every year. It's a great showcase for girls basketball. Thanks, Shelly. I look forward to seeing you, bud. You got it, man. Have a good weekend.